Hello viewers, today we're working on a 2015 Jeep Patriot with the 2.4 liter engine, and we are just going to be replacing the lower control arm on this because there's excessive play in the wheel. So you can see there's excessive play in the wheel here. The ball joint is moving quite a bit. That's pretty dangerous. So we are going to be replacing the passenger side lower control arm today. So today I don't have my microphone on, so the audio quality won't be as good. So I'm going to take off the wheel. So the first thing that we are going to do is to remove the nut for the pinch bolt, and depending in your area, if you have too much rust or less rust, it will be easier or harder to do. So this is an 18. We're gonna take that off. And if you want, you can spray some penetrating oil first, if you want, before you remove the nut. I'm going to try a different socket now. You will need to hold the other side. So you will need to hold the other side with a wrench. The other side is a different size a bolt. The nut is 18. This, it looks like a 15 or something. So this is a 15. I'm just going to hold this in place. And the nut is out. So now I'm just going to temporarily install this nut. We're probably going to lightly hammer on here to get this out. If you have trouble getting it out, then you may need to heat it up a little bit. I already ruined this suction part, so you may need to heat it up in order to get it out. So the control arm that I have, it comes with a new pinch bolt and nut, so you don't need to worry about the old one if you destroy it or if you damage the nut or the bolt. So you can tell that the nut that the vehicle comes with, they're very soft, so they can get damaged easily. So I'm just using a mini adductor tool to heat this up. I don't really want to use a torch because it's possible to damage the CV axle boot, so I just want to use this. It'll be easier for me to use. So I'm just going to heat this up a little bit and try to get it out from there. Getting it to cherry red hot, and I should be able to get it out easy after that. In some cases, you may have to turn the bolt on the other end in order to get it loose. You don't want to hammer this too much because then you are going to mushroom the end of the bolt. So I'm also going to try to heat up this end here because the pinch bolt is seized. And if you don't have this tool, you can use like a propane or a MAP torch, but it will just take a little bit longer. So so far it's not cooperating, so I probably have to give it a tiny bit some more time until it breaks free and comes loose. It's coming a little loose now. Trying to go back and forth to work it. You will need to repeatedly to heat it up in order to get this loose because depending on how much rust there is in your area, is catching on fire. And now it's out. You can use a drift chisel or punch to dry this out. So here's the old bolt. It's somewhat rusty, so it was a bit hard to take off. But these bolts are larger in size compared to the other vehicles, so I'm not as concerned as to break these bolts, because these bolts are pretty strong. I've seen other pinch bolts on other vehicles. They're very small, and so you have to be careful because they can be easily broken. So now we are going to proceed over here. This one is a 21 millimeter. So we are going to loosen that and take that out. I'm just using a 21 mil wrench. You can use like a shallow socket and a long ratchet or something. The one that I have is by Macco Tools. It's a 21. This one is cooperating, so I don't need to be worried about heating this up. In case that this one is seized, then you will need to heat it up. You can either use a torch or the a mini ductor tool, because you don't have access at the back end here, because the nut inside the subframe has a captive nut, so it's a fixed nut that's inside there. So if you ever get into a situation where this is seized or it requires too much force to loosen it up, I suggest that you stop and heat it up before you try to attempt to break the bolt free. We're just going to loosen this up now. I don't exactly have too much room to put an impact. You can, if you want, by taking off the splash shield if you want. Here's the bolt. And if you want, you can take off the splash shield. We'll see if I have to remove it or not. So far I don't have to take it off, so I'm just going to leave it. And now we need to take off this bolt and the nut here. I'm going to grab a wrench to hold the nut. And just to loosen up the bolt that's at the bottom. So we have a wrench here. I'm just going to loosen the bolt that's at the bottom here. Right here. This bolt is also a 21 millimeter. The bolt and the nut are both 21. So what's next? The control arm should be free. You just need to be able. To pry it out of its position. Get this out of the way. this out now. Just be careful with the axle here and just make sure that you don't accidentally pop out the CV axle, because it's the control arm and or the ball joint is no longer in its place, so you need to watch out to not accidentally to pull out the axle as you are doing this. They do make it fairly difficult to take out and to put in because of the enclosed opening here, so it's more difficult to take out. To get the whole arm to hang down, so it'll just be easier to knock down the ball joint after that. That's why I'm doing it this way. So I'm just going to leave that. So what I like to do, I'm just going to hammer down on the ball joint so that I'll be able to get the control arm out. And alternatively, you can use a pickle fork if you want to get the control arm out. It's almost out now. You can see the stud exposed. I'm probably just going to use the air hammer now. It's almost out. I'm just gonna use a ball joint, a pickle fork, so I can have some leverage to hit down on the bar here. To give me some leverage. I know there is a 1,001 ways to do this, so everybody has their own way of doing it. So anyhow. almost out. It's a little bit of a pain in the butt, but there's progress. It's a little bit of pain in the butt, but there's progress. And now it's out. A piece of crap is out now. There we go. Let's see on the plane here. There's some debris, dirt, and a large rock inside here, so make sure you get everything out of here. Just make sure there isn't anything inside. So what I like to do is I like to lubricate the new control arm with grease inside the sleeves of the bushings, so that way the bolts do not seize in the future. I always put grease on the bolts. Haven't had an issue, so it should be fine. Because I live in the Rust Belt area, I always put grease on the bolts. So we're going to reinstall the new arm now. One thing I noticed is I think I have the wrong part, because this is for the left side. I'm doing the right side, the passenger side. I think it's the incorrect part. So I had the wrong part. I'm going to get the correct part soon. So and then I'll put you guys back on the video after. This control arm was pretty like stuck inside the knuckle, so it was really hard to get out. So it just takes a little bit of patience to take out. You just need to keep on hammering and stuff. So usually it comes out a little bit easier in some cases, but because I live in the Rust Belt area, it's a bit more difficult. So now you can see the old control arm, the bushing is completely separated out of there. So this is the mini ductor that I use to heat up the bolt with, and here's the coil, the inductive coil. So this is it. And I also bought a few replacement coils, because the ones that came with the mini ductor Venom HP, I used them quite a bit, so they're all like worn out and stuff. So I have some brand new ones that I'm using. So just make sure that you have a replacement pinch bolt, because you may not be able to reuse the old one. So, and typically you're always supposed to use a brand new pinch bolt. You're not actually supposed to reuse them. So it's always a good idea to make sure that you have a brand new pinch bolt and a brand new nut. So we have the new control arm. I finally received the correct part this time. I have the wrong part. I have the one for the other side. Just make sure all the parts are correct. New pinch bolt that it comes with. New pinch bolt and the nut. So like I said earlier, I like to grease the sleeves for the control arm bushings, so that way they don't get seized in the future. I like to grease the sleeves and the bolts. We're gonna try to reinstall the new control arm. The most difficult part is to line up the bushing with the two holes for the top and bottom. The opening is a little bit difficult. There's not like too much room here. So in some rare cases you may need to take off the outer tie rod end out so that you're able to get some more room, but you don't have to, only if you want to. So we're gonna try to line this up. You just have to go by experience and just by lining up the control arm bushing. So it takes a little bit of patience to line it up. So there are sometimes you can use like a thin screwdriver or a punch or drift a chisel or whatever. You can try to line up the holes as you are trying to get the control arm in. There are sometimes you can just shove it in and you'll be able to get it in. So this guy's pretty much perfectly all lined up now, so you'll be able to get it in now. I just I swung the control arm and I pushed it in. So, I want to quickly to get that bolt in so it doesn't move. I'm going to lubricate the bolt with some grease first. I never had any issues using grease on bolts, so it's perfectly safe to use grease or some form of anti-seize so that these bolts don't seize up in the future. And later I'm going to be putting in the torque specs on the screen for you guys to see. So I'm gonna install the bolt now. This one I got it in pretty much perfectly straight. Just about. In some cases, if you're having a difficulty in getting the bolt in, once you got it through in the bottom, you can use a pair of China lock pliers to adjust the bolt. You'll need to get it at the bottom of the bolt to adjust it. I'll show you in just a second. I don't know if you guys can see that. Trying to get the camera to not lose focus on me. Make sure you are not covering up that hole for the channel lock pliers. Adjust it accordingly. So using the channel lock and the pry bar at the same time, you should be able to get it in after. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. As long as like it really depends on the situation that you're in. To use a larger punch to get it through, and then be able to get the bolt in now. Just using a punch to line it up and getting the bolt in. The bottom one is lined up, but the top one isn't. What you have to do here is to support both ends of the control arm. So you have to support both ends in order to get this in at the same time when you are trying to line it up. It's very tricky. So we are going to tighten everything up afterwards. Just trying to get all of the bolts in first, and then we'll tighten everything. There's a hole inside the control arm opening, so you're able to get the other side in. Should make things easier. To slide it in here, trying to push down on the pry bar in order to get it in. There you go. Need to get the bolt in now for this one. I already greased it. I'll put the torque spec on the screen for you guys to see if you want to torque it. Making sure everything is lined up, and then after we're going to get the ball joint in after that, and then that's it. If you don't have a torque wrench, you can just tie in this nice and tight, or the good and tight, the German method. They call it the Guten tight. So you just tie in as tight as you can until it stops, and then you should be okay after that. You don't want to over tighten it. So what's left is to tighten up the control arm bolt on this end. And now we just need to reinstall the lower ball joint into the steering knuckle. If you want, you can spray some penetrating oil or something. The WD-40. Just to make things a little easier to slide in. Which I didn't do earlier because of all the rust. So you just need to slide in the remove this ball joint. Just gonna line this up now and swing the steering knuckle over to get it in. Don't hammer on the ball joint directly, just on the edge of the control arm. You just want to get it in, right? And that's it. And put some grease inside the knuckle if you can. On both ends. Install a new pinch bolt. Make sure you note the orientation as to where you had the nut. The nut was facing on the other end, so yeah, the nut was facing on the other end, so we're gonna insert this way. Get rid of the excess grease. Install the nut. I'm going to put the torque specs on the screen for you guys to see. I'm just going to tighten it down now. Tighten down the nut and hold down the bolt. The nut is an 18, the bolt is a 15. So the torque spec is 60 foot-pounds on the nut. It's quite a bit for a pinch bolt. And this is a 60. And and that's it. So this is what it looks like for the control arm after the installation. So after you're done, just verify that there's no play in the control arm, that everything is tight. You can just pry on the bushings and everything. Make sure all the bolts are tight and torque the spec, and you should be all good to go. And then that's about it. And then you need to take the vehicle for a wheel alignment after. It's recommended to replace both sides control arms, but we're just doing the one side. After you do any kind of steering and suspension work, send the vehicle out for a wheel alignment afterwards. So that's it for this one. If you found this one helpful, please don't forget to give it a like, and please consider subscribing to my channel if you're not already a subscriber, and please don't forget to hit that bell notification, and I'll see you guys next time. Have a good day and take care.